Lincoln West.
That was terrible. Watch your head.
A team without a future.
The tennis team is obviously causing problems.
Is about to be inspired by a man with a past.
Want the long or the short version?
I like them short.
She's really hot.
Miss Sanchez. She's from Argentina.
I like the sexy fingers.
What is it this time?
I'm pregnant, and I need money for an abortion.
Is this a little yellow ball? That's what puts hair on a man's balls.
A virgin. That's what we need.
Balls out. Carry the tennis coach.
So as you can tell, this is basically a Will Ferrell sports comedy, except you take Will Ferrell out of the picture and replace him with Stifler from American Pie, where he plays an overzealous high school janitor who has not recovered from his failed career as a tennis pro, but beginning to coach his beloved sport to a group of misfits after the high school tennis coach, played by Randy Quaid, drops dead. With his unorthodox coaching style, Gary must try and lead them to the Nebraska State championships, and insert your typical underdog sports story here. I mean, this is pretty much what this movie is, but at the same time, though, it's a pretty good movie. It actually is a lot better than I think a lot of people give it credit for. I mean, it's not the best movie overall, but it is a very silly but fun movie overall. Sean William Scott clearly is having the time of his life with this role here, and like I said, it's basically a Will Ferrell sports comedy role, except Will Ferrell's not in there. And you replace it with Stifler, and he does it very well here. I thought it was actually kind of fun. The comedy overall is pretty solid. It is what it is. It's not asking you to be anything. It's not asking you to give it more credit than it actually is. It knows exactly what it is, and I think because of that, it definitely delivers on what it promises. And notably, this is the last film directed by Danny Weiner, who did directed Sean William Scott before in Dude, Where's My Car, and he also did Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. And this is the last film he did. He passed away about 8 years later of cancer in 2018, which I did not know that until just looking it up here now, which that kind of sucks for him. But hey, at least he ends his career on a little bit of a good note here. I like this movie. Good balls out, Gary the tennis coach. It is what it is. It's nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing, but it delivers what it promises. So there you go. That's Balls Out, Gary the tennis coach. So as I look at my list here, we move on to a couple of films from Paramount, because Paramount looked at what Disney and Warner Brothers and even Universal were doing and said, like, well, shit, if they could take direct-to-video make sequels off of their if they can make direct-to-video sequels off of their movies, then why can't us? Let's see what we got on the table here. Let's start off with Road Trip. Road Trip was a big success back in the day. Here's the sequel to Road Trip Beer Pong.
If you're looking for a good time, just say the magic words. Road trip! Awesome! Road Trip Beer Pong.
So this is, of course, based off of the 2000 comedy, which starred Breckenmeyer, Sean William Scott once again, Tom Green, and also DJ Qualls. He's the only one who actually returns for this movie. Actually, I take that back. There's one other person in this movie, and that's the tour guide mother from the first movie. She's back in this film. But you have three college roommates, not the same characters from the first movie, who join a bus full of gorgeous models and travels the country to compete in a national beer pong championship. With a busload of attractive women, who knows how much fun they could have. Yeah, insert a description that the studio thinks is going to sell people on it, and no, it really doesn't. Besides DJ Qualls and the tour group mom here, Rhoda Griffiths, the only other notable names in this movie are Juliana Gill, who was in Friday the 13th and also was on Dancing with the Stars, and she was on something else too. I think Gossip Girl? I could have sworn she was on something else. One Tree... No, I guess not. Maybe she wasn't on Gossip Girl. I mean, she was in some stuff that was... I think her most notable movie at that point was Friday the 13th. But then again, she was in some other shows like CSI, How I Met Your Mother. But also, Danny Pudi, who later go on to become Abed on Community. And then there's Preston Jones, who is an actor that has not gone on to really do anything too much. I'm just reading off Wikipedia because of the highlighted actors here. But you also have Michael Trotter, Nestor Aaron Absera, and... I mean, yeah, it is pretty much what you think it is. It's a lackluster direct-to-video sequel that is trying to capture the same spirit as the original Road Trip did, but the original Road Trip was actually much funnier, much more clever. This one really is not. This is kind of a lame sequel, and one of those sequels that you could probably tell is a sequel that has no real connection to Road Trip, except for the fact that DJ Qualls and the tour guide mama back on it, and they probably had a different movie around it, and they basically just reshot everything so it connects to the original film, when it really doesn't, per se. In fact, we're going to look at these movies from Paramount, and I think most of them are kind of like that. But, yeah, not much more to say about Road Trip Beer Pong, so let's see if Without a Paddle, Nature's Calling is the same thing.
If you thought you survived the river, made it through the night, and you were out of the woods, you're in for a surprise. Return to the great outdoors. Without a Paddle, Nature's Calling is coming to DVD.
Yeah, it's probably not a good sign when the first half of your trailer is literally just showing the original film all over again. I mean, it literally says on the bottom, buy the original Without a Paddle, now on DVD, and it's just like, I mean, that should pretty much tell you everything you know about this. But hey, it's directed by the guy who did Eight-Legged Freaks. I mean, that was something. And for some reason, Jerry Rice is in here. The Jerry Rice, not playing himself, playing a character in this movie, which is really odd. Like, it really does not make any sense why Jerry Rice is in here. I guess because the original film had Burt Reynolds in it, but at least Burt Reynolds was connected to the storyline in that movie. Here, I really don't know what the hell he was doing in this movie. But in this film, you have Ben and Zach, who are childhood friends, who reunite years later to take part in an unusual quest that involves traveling into the woods in search of Ben's high school sweetheart. They're joined by their British rival, Nigel, and as the stakes get higher and the squirrels turn hostile, the hapless trio attempts to navigate a raging river while realizing that sometimes nature isn't all it's cracked up to be. Yeah, this is another one of those movies where you could just like with Road Trip Beer Pong, you could tell this was a film that was not really meant to connect to Road Trip to Without a Paddle whatsoever. This is probably another movie they had, and Paramount saw it and said, hey, we made a movie called Without a Paddle, which was successful, but not enough to become memorable per se. We could make a sequel off of this and clearly try to sell it off, and just like with Road Trip, it really isn't all that good. I mean, it's actually pretty lazy when you take a look at it per se. Yeah, I think Entertainment Weekly summed it up here. It's the most unnecessary sequel, one of the most unnecessary sequels ever. I would say it's the most unnecessary sequel, but there have been more than unnecessary sequels out there. I mean, you don't even need to go direct to DVD. We have so many right now in theaters at this point, or coming out. Like, who the hell is asking for a Now You See Me 3? Like, who the hell was looking at the movies and saying, you know what this country really needs? Freakier Friday. Hey, you know what people have been dying for so many years? Practical Magic 2. Or, hey, I got an idea. We just pushed back Avengers Doomsday to Christmas of 2026. So we need a big blockbuster to open up the summer 26 movie season. What are we going to have out there? I've got it. The Devil Wears Prada 2. So yeah, it's a trend that has continued ever since this movie has come out. And it's still on the big screen too, because nostalgia's sake, and it's just like, get the hell out of here with that, and Without a Paddle, Without a Paddle, Nature's Calling, pretty lackluster. I mean, it is not that good of a movie. And, I've got one more Paramount film here, and compared to the other two, Road Trip and Without a Paddle, this last one's actually probably the best one of the bunch. Even then, it's not all that great, but, hey, Van Wilder, Freshman Year.
Get ready for Van Wilder, Freshman Year.
Hello, Van Wilder, chairman of Freshman Relations, self-appointed.
Well, Mr. Wilder, while you're here, you'll follow Reardon's rules. No drinking, no partying, period.
More girls. More beer.
You wouldn't happen to have a pale ale on tap, would ya?
Freshman Year.
I bet you've never had to work a hard day in your life.
Depends on what you mean by hard.
Van Wilder, Freshman Year.
Why is Paramount making a Van Wilder sequel? They didn't release the original Van Wilder. Van Wilder was a Lionsgate release, and the sequel they did make, The Rise of Tosh, which is the official sequel because that's Kal Penn in it, was released by MGM, aka Fox, because that was when they were under Fox's regime. So now we have this one from Paramount, and you gotta love how the trailer is so lazy that it can't even put the last line of the following preview in the right indent. Ordinarily it would stop at by the Motion Picture Association of America, but then you have that comma ink. Like usually they push it a little bit so it's closer to the trailer card, but nope, not this movie. But surprisingly, this is actually the better of the three films that we talked about from Paramount Famous, which isn't really saying a whole lot in general. Just like All the Men in His Family, high school student Van Wilder, played here by Jonathan Bennett, even before becoming the popular party animal of Coolidge College in 2002's Van Wilder, was already a sexual champion. As he sets foot in the campus of a cocky freshman, Van is shocked to discover that strict Dean Reardon, played by Kurt Fuller, rules the place with an iron fist, restricting alcohol, drugs, and all things sexy. Now Van must put his charm and wits to good use and do everything in his power to escape from the Dean's ROTC program and get Caitlin, played by Kristen Cavallari from The Hills, the hottest girl in school. Has Van what it takes to become a hero? I don't know about that, but yeah, this is supposed to be a prequel to Van Wilder. Yeah, we could stop that right now. You could just say that it's just a retread of Van Wilder, but as I said before, this actually is not as bad as you would think it is. I mean, it's not a good movie, but compared to what we just looked at with Road Tripping Without a Paddle, I mean, this is like Citizen Kane in my comparison. But I think it's because they actually have good actors in here who actually do carry the load here. Jonathan Bennett does a pretty good job as Van Wilder, even though he is clearly mimicking Ryan Reynolds' style here. I mean, he's given it his all in here, and I like Kristen Cavallari, surprisingly. I thought she was actually kind of fun in here. You have Steve Talley in here as well as kind of the antagonist here. Kurt Fuller can be fun here too as the dean. I mean, and Lyndon Ashby plays Van Wilder's father in here, which is overall fine here. Like everything, like I said, is fine with this movie in general. It is a film that is what it is. Like, you go into it, you have to go, it's one of these ones you got to go into it knowing what you're going in for. And considering that I have seen all three Van Wilder movies, I can honestly tell you that this actually is better than The Rise of Taj, even though that was the one that went direct to the theaters, and that was the one that had the bigger names attached to it. Like, this one is at least trying to have some fun with its idea here, but not really enough to say that it's a great film overall. I say if you go into it with the right mindset, if you see it at the stores, like, dirt cheap, like if you see it like a thrift store or something for like $1 or so, it's worth getting it just for that. That's probably not the best endorsement I can give to the film, but hey, it beats the crap out of Road Trip and Without a Paddle. I mean, you can pretty much tell that Paramount Famous was not going to stick around for too much longer, and sure enough, it didn't last very long. I mean, after these three films came out, they only made 4 other movies that weren't sequels except for Mean Girls 2 at the end. And, yeah, you can pretty much tell that this thing came and went so quickly. Like, they had no intentions on this becoming a trend, so there you go. That's that's the 3 films from Paramount Famous Productions, the 3 big sequels from them. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next direct-to-video sequel I have here, and that is Spring Breakdown.
Support promiscuity and public nudity.
Senior spring, Ash, and I want to be with your girl parties.
When Ashley lost her boyfriend, she found the perfect way
I am going to South Padre.
to get him back. But when your mom is the most powerful woman in Washington,
If the press catches her acting out your son, it'll be Bush Twins, the sequel.
there's always someone
Betty, you're going to spring break, girl.
I am?
watching your back.
I want to go with you, Becky. You do? Let's go. We never went to spring break in college.
So overall in this movie, the story is that you have the vice president resignation over a scandal, and a senator, played by Jane Lynch, who's first in line to succeed him. The only likely skeleton in her closet is her teenage daughter, Ashley, who's on a spring break with her sorority in Texas while reputed to South Padre Island. Trying to act cool in a desperate attempt to win back sturdy boyfriend William, who dumped her for a potential party animal. So the senator sends nerdy junior assistant Becky St. Germain, played by Parker Posey, as chaperone. Becky takes along her former college friends, played by Amy Poehler and Rachel Dratch, all refused by sororities and meeting for an annual joint holiday. For once, it will be tame but frightfully exciting, making up for those wasted wild years. Joining the party scene with their Libertine motel host and the Seven, a group of popular airheads who adopt the dog coach from the adult bunch of dance coach, one old girl even attempts to seduce the hottest frat boy, Gentleman Todd, which seems to work. And this was one of those movies that was originally intended to be a theatrical release. This was originally sold by... This actually started shooting back in 2006 and was supposed to go to theaters through Warner Independent Pictures, but that studio basically shut down, so Warner Brothers just basically put it on the shelf. And then they decided to release it to video 3 years later, and quickly kind of came and went. And you could kind of see why when you look at the trailer for it and you watch the film itself. It really isn't that strong of a movie, and you could at least tell that they were trying to make this a big theatrical release, and it just didn't work out that way. It's not a bad movie per se, but it definitely is a film that clearly was one where they realized this ain't working here. And despite the best efforts by Amy Poehler, Parker Posey, Rachel Dratch, this is not a bad cast here. Amber Tamlin, Seth Meyers, Sophie Monk, Jonathan Sadowski, Missy Pyle, Jane Lynch. You have Will Arnett in here as well. I mean, this is a good cast overall here, and a good idea overall, but it just really felt like they were kind of stuck on what direction this was supposed to go in terms of the story. Like, there really isn't anything too amazing about it, per se. You get a couple of decent lines here and there, but overall, it's just not enough to save the film overall. I think it's a film that just really didn't live up to all the hype that it really could have had to it. I think, like, there could have been something special there, but I think Warner Brothers kind of knew this was dead on arrival, so... Yeah, unfortunately, it's a skip on that one. Not a bad movie, just not a great film either, So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at another direct-to-DVD sequel. This time, it's the sequel to Waiting, Still Waiting.
Hey, Natasha. What time to give up tonight?
I'm not working tonight.
Oh, that sucks.
Matthew, go plot your next date in the kitchen or your station's going to be empty all night.
Hello, Naomi.
Welcome to Tata's. I've got a table waiting just for you.
From the guys that brought you Waiting comes the saucy sequel.
Oh, yeah! I care about you too much to let you work there. I don't want you to be groped inappropriately, except by me. Ow! You'll be working at stripper pole within a year.
So on the last night of the fiscal quarter, Dennis, played by John Michael Higgins, who's the manager now of Shenanigans, will be promoted to district manager if the restaurant sells $9,000 worth of food or more. To motivate the crew, Dennis tells them that the restaurant will close if they do not meet this goal. The biggest competition is next door, Tata's, which is basically just Hooters, but they can't use that name per se. A bar with scantily clad waitress managed by the self-confident Calvin, played by Rob Benedict. At Tata's, it is Allison's first day. Allison being played by Maggie Lawson from the show Psych, and she is nervous. At Shenanigans, Mason, played by Rob Kirkovich, a cook is trying his best to be cool without success. As the shift wears on, each employee faces his worst fears as Dennis tries to learn how to attract women, and next door, Calvin and Allison make self-discoveries. And this has the same director who wrote and directed the first film, Ron McKittrick, and it does have some of the same actors back here. You have Andy Milonakis, Alana Ubach, Vanessa Langels, Luis Guzman, Chi McBride. So they do have a couple of names in here that we are very familiar with. But there's also a lot of names that are new to the series here that you are very familiar with. As I mentioned, John Michael Higgins, Adam Carolla has a cameo in here. Who else? Kirk Fox, Tanya Raimondi, Katie Albert, Danielle Harris, Janet Varney, who you know is the voice of Cora, Aaron Foster, Missy Pyle, David Koechner. David Koechner's back in this movie, too. I completely forgot about that. But, I mean, overall, it wasn't bad. But, like I said, kind of like with Van Wilder freshman year, it wasn't, and Spring Breakdown, too. It's not bad, but it's kind of unnecessary. There's really no reason to do a sequel to this unless you're getting the original cast back overall. Everybody in the original cast, like Ryan Reynolds, Anna Faris, and more of Justin Long in here. Justin Long shows up in here, but even he felt embarrassed in being in this movie, as he said later on in other interviews. But like I said, it's not a bad movie. It just isn't a great film overall. It's just kind of a pointless sequel. Not the worst, not the best either. So there you go. Still Waiting. So let's go ahead and move on to, what do I want to do next here? We're about halfway through here, so I'll save this one. I'll save the big one for the end here. Let's go to another direct-to-video sequel. This time from Universal, American Pie presents The Book of Love.
Rob, I want to have a little chat with you.
Do we have to?
I found the sock and the laundry.
Oh, jeez, Mom, put that away.
Are we on?
The times may have changed.
Rob,
Are we home for 7th period?
Oh, yeah.
But one thing remains the same.
Ooh, sounds like you might be in the market for some homegrown American beef.
Sorry, I'm vegan. Cheers.
American Pie.
This is the Bible. This thing goes back decades. This is our ticket.
They just found the playbook of their dreams.
We need to reconstruct the Bible. I'm in.
All right, I'm in.
Now, to save it,
Hello?
Are you the one who created the Bible?
No, that would be God.
Yeah, the American Pie movies that came out on DVD are some that I should have covered on this show. I mean, it's one of those, it's kind of like with the Land Before Time movies. I keep saying that I want to do a special episode dedicated to those movies in particular. I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do that as soon as I get done with the Time About the Movie specials that I've been doing, like the monthly specials, like, you know, specific months of every year. Right now, as of the time of recording this, I'm up to October of 2002, so I should be done with 2002 by the end of this week. So that means I still got about 5 weeks until we're all caught up on that front, but yeah, American Pie is something I want to do another episode. I want to do a full special on, too, because I have a lot to say about the direct-to-video sequels. But overall, most of them are not that great. I think the best one of the bunch was The Naked Mile, which was the second one that came out, but this is actually the second best one here. It takes place at East Great Falls High 10 years after the first movie, and the new protagonists are 3 brand new hapless virgins. One of them is Alfalfa from the Little Rascals. That's right, Bug Hall is the main kid in that movie. You have him, you have Nathan, and you have Lube, and one night Rob accidentally sets fire to the school library and finds the Bible, or the Book of Love. Mr. Levinstein, played by Eugene Levy's creation, and yes, he is in this movie as he is in most of the other direct-to-video sequels, but unfortunately for them, the book is ruined. The book has incomplete advice and embarks them on a helpless journey to lose their virginity. After trying and failing for most of the time, they pledge to restore the book, and to do this, they must find the original author of the book and all the other people who wrote on the book and start the restoration. So yeah, this was back when Eugene Levy, who really was the breakout star was the most memorable thing to most people about those movies. I mean, most of the characters, yeah, but everyone, when you think of American Pie, you think of Eugene Levy, if you've ever seen those movies. But he was showing up in all these direct-to-video sequels, and like I said, he was just kind of being thrown in there for no particular reason, but there is stuff in there, but he was fine in those movies in particular. And this one is, like I said, one of the better ones. I think it mostly because it has more notable names in here, because you have not only Bug Hall, you not only have Eugene Levy, but you have Beth Bears from Two Broke Girls in the Neighborhood in one of her early film roles, Jennifer Holland, who's been a character actress in other movies, and also Rosanna Arquette is in this movie playing the mother of Bug Hall's character, and it's written by one of the writers of the American Pie movies, David Steinberg. So it does have a lot of more notable names in this movie. Sherman Hemsley is also in the movie, too. He has a cameo in here. There's also cameos from people like Kevin Federline, Dustin Diamond, C. Thomas Howell, Christopher Knight, Tim Matheson, Steve Railsback, Robert Romanus, Brett Michaels. They were all people who basically wrote in the book in general. You also have Curtis Armstrong in here. So they definitely have notable names in this movie compared to the other movies. And to me, that's what kind of makes it kind of more enjoyable than some of the other direct-to-video sequels that there are. This is one that was actually kind of good. There are some jokes that don't really work all that well. There's a joke where a moose is raping a guy, and it just feels kind of pointless, really. And then there's an old woman in a bordello joke that you could kind of see where it's going a mile away. But I do give it credit that it is trying to be more in line with the other American Pie movies, the first 3 American Pie movies, and it's definitely showing in this film. And, yeah, it's definitely one of the better entries in the series. But like I said, once I get through all these other videos I have planned and do the Land Before Time thing, I'm definitely going to go run through all these American Pie movies because they definitely deserve to be, they definitely deserve a mention in their own specific videos. So I'm going to get to do that at some point down the line. But I wanted to cover American Pie Presents The Book of Love because, like I said, yeah, I saw it on the list, and it is one of the better movies in the series. So, in the direct-to-video series, I should say. So let's go ahead and wrap up the direct-to-video stuff here with more stuff from Warner Brothers and DC, of course, because we're in the crux of the DC Universe animated original movies, and we have 4 of them here. Actually, one of them is actually part of one of the big blockbusters of the year, but let's start with the first one I have here, and that is Kerry Russell starring as Wonder Woman. Okay, but what if the lady is the one that's hitting you first? That should be something that should be brought up here. But anyway, Wonder Woman. This is basically kind of an origin story of Wonder Woman, where you have the Amazons defeating the war god Ares, played by Alfred Molina, and Zeus, played by David McCallum, charging them to hold him prisoner as eternally young warriors on the hidden island of Themyscira. Centuries later, U.S. Air Force pilot Steve Trevor, played by Nathan Fillion, is lured to crash land on the island, and the distraction of that trespass allows Ares to escape. In response, Princess Diana, Kerry Russell, wins the responsibility to both take Trevor home and recapture the fugitive god. Steve Trevor offers to help, and together this disparate pair must not only overcome Ares' efforts to achieve a bloody revenge, but also reconcile their own conflicting worldviews in an adventure that would be the first for the greatest of the female superheroes. So yeah, it's pretty much an origin story for Wonder Woman, and it has that unique animation style to it that really does make it stand out. And some really good direction from Lauren Montgomery, who did a lot of stuff for Superman Doomsday and Justice League The New Frontier. And, of course, this is produced by the same the Bruce Timm team. And, yeah, it's a really good movie. It gives Wonder Woman something to do. She isn't tossed around like a typical female character in an action movie. She's written as an important character in here, just as important as her male co-stars. And it's literally her movie. And it works because Kerry Russell really does a commendable job in it. I will say, though, I like Gina Torres' voice better. Like, to me, that sounds more like Wonder Woman. But then again, Russell does a very good job in here. And it gives her a chance to branch out in different roles where she's not just playing Felicity anymore. It's more similar to what she had done with The Americans shortly after this. Yeah, the cast also includes great performances by Nathan Fillion, Alfred Molina, Rosario Dawson, Mark Helgenberger, Virginia Madsen, Oliver Platt, John DiMaggio. Good action sequences all around. This is, of course, the same DC Universe team that's made a lot of really great stuff before. And it's all well put together. And it's just such a very, very solid film overall. And, hey, it worked later on in live action form. We're going to get to that when we get to 2017. But let's just say that this was probably one of the better Wonder Womans that we were going to get for a little bit here. Because I know David E. Kelly was doing the Wonder Woman show for NBC at the time. And when we finally got to see it, yeah, needless to say, it definitely didn't work out. But this works out pretty well enough on its own. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next one I have here. Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. A desperate solution for a troubled country. Lex Luthor for president with the Justice League in the service of the government. Only Batman and Superman stand against the new regime, and their disloyalty proves to be exactly what Luthor intended. Using their outcast status to instigate a scandal against Superman, Luthor finally tastes of victory in his vendetta against the Man of Steel. From executive producer Bruce Timm, and voiced by the cast from both Batman and Superman animated TV series, I lost track of the plot here. This DC Universe original animated movie of Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness' popular graphic novel seized with political intrigue and action-packed battle between heroes all believing they're on the right side of the law. And like it says in the synopsis, like, how can you go wrong with a movie that has Kevin Conroy back as Batman, Tim Daly back as Superman, and Clancy Brown as Lex Luthor? It's just like, you can't go wrong here. And you really can't. It's just great to hear these voices once again. Yeah, they don't look the same as they do in the animated series, but it still works. They all still work very well. The animation overall is a lot of fun. I like the fact that they bring in all these other superheroes, and they do get to fight Batman and Superman in this. It's just, they're really good, fun action sequences in this movie. It's just such a good, fun movie. If there's one thing I'll say that's kind of weak about it, the script overall really is nothing that spectacular or amazing. I mean, it's literally just Lex Luthor puts a bounty on Batman and Superman, and all the superheroes got to fight them. And then at the end, Lex and Batman have got to go save, Superman and Batman got to go save the day from Lex. And it's just like, you know where it's going to go and end up, and you know that neither Batman nor Superman are going to break their rule of killing people just to get revenge on Lex Luthor. I mean, it's a little too predictable, but at the same time, it's never a complete failure. Not by a long shot. I mean, this is one of their best movies overall. Great action, great animation, great voice cast, great action, great story overall. Needed a lot of work though. It's a solid, fun ride, a really good movie. What more can you say? So with that said, on to the next one we have here, and that is Green Lantern First Flight. Basically, the same thing with Wonder Woman. It's basically the origin story that we would later see in the live-action movie. Unlike Wonder Woman, though, the live-action Green Lantern movie was not great, but here you have Hal Jordan, played by Christopher Maloney, who accepts a mysterious, powerful ring from a dying alien creature, which transforms him into a Green Lantern, one of an elite force of heroes. These heroes patrol the universe to ensure peace and justice under the leadership of the Guardians of the Universe. Unsure of their new recruit, the Guardians assign Hal to the most honored Green Lantern, Sinestro, played by Victor Garber, for training, unaware that Sinestro wants to overthrow the Guardians and create a new order he'll control. It's a battle of might and willpower as Hal, I don't know why I have Hal there, must prove his worth by defeating Sinestro to save the Green Lantern Corps. And again, it's just like DC was putting these out there just months and months in advance. Like they were just like Wonder Woman came out in March. Then this came out in July. And then Superman, Batman, Public Enemies came out in September. Like, they were churning these out so quickly. And you would think, as soon as they were doing that, just like, okay, the quality's going to go down. But it never really feels that way. And like this one, it does a very good job of telling the origin story of Green Lantern than the live-action movie did. And was more, that was more cartoonish than the cartoon was. Like, think about that. But I mean, it's very clever at not making the whole focus of the film the actual origin story. It just happens during the end credits. And it makes sense because, again, kind of like with all these other superhero movies and shows that get rebirths, it's just like reboots. It's just like, there's no point of repeating the origin story for people that already know it going into it. Like, there's no reason to keep doing it over and over and over again. And you get a straightforward story about Green Lantern, you know, all Green Lantern lands already know about it, but with the Wonder Woman movie, you kind of expect that they at least explain who Wonder Woman was to new fans. With this, they do expect you to kind of know going in who Green Lantern is. That's kind of a flaw to the film overall, and, you know, newcomers to the series are really not going to know too much about it, per se, and want to know more about it, but overall, it is still a good movie. It's definitely one of the weaker of the three that I mentioned before, but again, a strong cast in here. You also have Tricia Hill from Battlestar Galactica, Michael Madsen, John Larroquette, Larry Drake, Kurtwood Smith, Malachi Thorne. I mean, just another really good movie here. Definitely the weaker of the three, but still good enough to recommend it. So, with that said, on to the next film we have here, and that is Watchmen: Tales of the Black Freighter.
It was the most celebrated graphic novel of our time. But inside this epic masterpiece, there is another legend that has yet to be told. Afflicted with the curse of the Black Freighter, but revenge would be mine.
So this is a story that, if you're not too familiar with the Watchmen graphic novel, this is actually something from the graphic novel. It was a fictional comic within the story, and it was adapted into a 26-minute direct-to-video feature that was later put out with another short that you see mentioned there, Under the Hood. But this was originally in the script for Watchmen, but it was later changed from live-action footage to animation because of the $20 million that would have cost to film in the same style of 300. That was what Zack Snyder wanted to do with it. So they basically took that and made it into an animated movie with Gerard Butler voicing the Captain, and it having been promised a role in the live-action film that eventually never materialized. And in the story, a young mariner journeys to warn his hometown of the coming of the Black Freighter after he survives the destruction of his own ship. He uses the bodies of his dead shipmates as a makeshift raft and sails home, gradually descending into insanity. When he finally returns home to his hometown, believing it to be already under the occupation of the Black Freighter's crew, he makes his way to his house and slays everyone he finds there, only to discover that the person he mistook for a pirate was in fact his wife. He returns to the seashore, where he realizes that the Black Freighter had not come to claim the town, but rather to claim him. So it's that kind of a story where the true monster was not the monster they were looking for. It was actually him that was the real monster. And yeah, it is what you expect it to be, but it is a really impressively put together animated short. I mean, it reminded me a lot of when Clerks had that animated segment that they put back in when Dante and Randall go to the funeral for Julie, and they cut it out of the original movie, and then they reanimated it in the same style as the animated series. Like, this is what that feels like overall. It didn't feel like it was necessary to the story, but it is pretty cool to see that comic within the comic coming to life in movie form. I mean, granted, a small movie in general, but it works for what it is. I think it's actually a really good short. So yeah, not much more to say about that one, Tales of the Black Freighter. So with all that said, let's finally get to the last film that we have here, and that is easily the movie that should have been released in theaters 2 years ago, but Warner Brothers had no idea what they were thinking, so they said, ship it out on DVD, and let's not even put it out around Halloween. Let's put it out around Christmas, because we're the smart ones here. I'm starting to think that David Zaslav was not the only one making bad decisions at Warner Brothers in the last 20 years. This is Trick or Treat.
During the spookiest time of the year, there are a few guidelines all ghosts and goblins should follow. Always stay on sidewalks. Never go to a stranger's house. And never go out alone.
Sorts of things. Roam free. Sorry. All these traditions.
Wait. What? You're supposed to keep it lit.
Why?
Vegetation. Putting on costumes.
Don't think I'm 5. You look great. What do we do now? We meet our dates.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
Why are we here? Is Paris next to the dead? The Halloween school bus massacre.
Started to protect us, but
Hey, buddy.
nowadays, I don't really care.
Just lost the lid.
Okay, I misled you on that. Technically, this was released around Halloween. When I looked at the release date, it said December 9th, 2007. I misread that as December 9th, 2009. But no, that was when it was premiering at Butt-Number-thon in 2007. And then eventually made its DVD release in October of 2009. But no matter what, this thing was originally intended to be released in 2007. So much so that they had a trailer in front of 300, and they were teasing this as the big Halloween blockbuster for that year, and they just kind of pushed it back. And so eventually the film kept shuffling around and went to all these different festivals, like the Butt-Number-thon. They went to like the Scream Fest Horror Film Festival. It had a premiere at Graham's Chinese Theater. It went screened at the San Diego Comic-Con in 2009. And then finally it made its way to DVD in October of 2009 and eventually went on to become the cult classic that it has now become. Because, yeah, this is a film that has gone on to become a massive cult hit. And it's really hard not to see why. It's an anthology film where you have 4 Halloween horror stories with a comic element in them. A little trick-or-treat demon wearing orange footy pajamas with a burlap sack over his head named Sam. You have a story where you have a couple who are ending up their Halloween night, and there's this thing where you blow out the jack-o'-lantern before midnight against the advice of, and by doing that, you basically have created, it's part of a curse and all that. But then you have a principal who laces candy with cyanide, killing all the kids involved in there. Then there's the story about the Halloween school bus massacre. There's a story about Anna Paquin as this girl who's going out to a Halloween party dressed up as Little Red Riding Hood, and then it turns out it ends up being that they're all werewolves, which is really, really cool. I mean, the way that it completely comes out of nowhere, but it works. Like, this is, and then the last one you have one basically around Sam with this guy who's a curmudgeon played by Billy Connolly, who just freaks the hell out of him, just messes with him and scares the living crap out of him. It's just like, yeah, these are really damn good stories. Like, every single one of them works. They've got a lot of good talent involved in here. As I said, Anna Paquin's one of the leads in here. Brian Cox. I thought it was Billy Connolly. I think it's Brian Cox. See, I'm not doing my research well here, but you have Dylan Baker as the principal, Rochelle Ates as Maria, Leslie Bibb, I guess that's it. Britt McClip from Dead Over Me. I mean, there's a lot of big names in here, but Michael Dougherty, who of course is the guy that wrote Superman Returns and has gone on now to become a pretty solid director with the Godzilla movies, Godzilla and Kong. Bryan Singer was one of the main producers behind this. I mean, this is a really, really good Halloween movie. It's a good Halloween film. It doesn't feel like it's overselling it, overdoing it with the jump scares and all that type of stuff. No, every scare in here is really good, and the film has this aura and feel of Halloween. I mean, this is a movie that really should have been a movie that should have been released in theaters, but Warner Brothers had no idea how to sell it, and so they just dumped it onto DVD. But little did anybody know, it would become the tradition of Halloween. Like, you go to Spirit Halloween now, and any place like Hot Topic or Spencer's during Halloween, and you see all the trick-or-treat stuff there. Like, you see these characters. You see the things from the movie. Like, this thing has had a lasting impact, where it has now become a central part of Halloween in general. And it's not hard to see why. It's a really damn good movie, and one that definitely deserves to be seen. It's a movie that is really good. I highly recommend checking it out this Halloween, because it is that good of a film. Trick or Treat, can't recommend it enough. Must see.
Like being a vampire, son. I'm good at this. I was never very good at being human. In the year 2019, most of the population has become vampires. And the remaining humans are farmed for blood. We're talking about the extinction of the human race.
We need your help.
We're an endangered species. It's time we changed all that.
Who are you? We're the folks with the crossbows. This is a chance to change everything.
They could kill you.
I'm already dead. Immunity will vanish as soon as the blood does. What happens when there isn't a single drop left?
Can anyone hear me? They found us. They're everywhere.
I found a cure. I can change you back. What's the cure? Right. Daybreakers. Rated R. In theaters January 8th.
Welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of January 8th, 2010. And you just saw our first movie today, and that is Daybreakers, a film that takes place in a futuristic world overrun by vampires. It centers around a vampiric corporation which sets out to capture and farm the remaining humans while researching a substitute for human blood. Ethan Hawke plays the vampire hematologist Edward Dalton, whose work is interrupted by the human survivors, led by former vampire Elvis, played by Willem Dafoe, who has a cure that can save the human species. You also have a cast that also includes Isabel Lucas and also Sam Neill among the cast in here. And this is a movie where you see it in January, and your first thought is, oh, this is clearly a movie that they had a whole lot of high ambitions for, but it turned out to be not that great overall. So, yeah, just dump it in the month of January and hope that nobody sees it because it's a bad movie, right? Well, you might be surprised on this one. This actually is a lot better than you would give it credit for. First of all, I love the fact that that by 2019, everyone's going to be vampires, which, remember when that happened? Good times overall. But, then again, I do have teeth that are kind of like a vampire's. Not really. I apologize for that. But anyway, this is a movie where they thought within 10 years everyone was going to be vampires. But then again, this is an alternate universe, so I guess that makes sense. But But you could have gone a little bit longer than that. I mean, 10 years. I mean, even then, that's pushing it. But regardless, this is a really good movie. This is actually one that was actually kind of surprised that it actually did kind of work. I mean, it's a movie where you have a lot of cool designs overall. It's cool to see the vampires actually look like normal people, like Sam Neill with the vampire eyes. It's kind of cool to see. And it has a nice stylistic look to it. It's a very cool-looking film. It's kind of like the vampire equivalent to something like They Live. I couldn't remember the title, but They Live is kind of similar to this. And, yeah, except you don't have Roddy Piper going like, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Like, you don't have lines like that. You don't have cool people like Keith David in that movie. But then again, for what this is, I liked it. I actually thought it was a lot better than most people would give it credit for. And for a film like this to come out in January, it's a good January horror film, which is something that is very, very rarely hard to come by. I mean, it's a film that actually does kind of work overall, and in fact, these guys actually got a chance to do more movies down the road with Predestination. Then they did the Jigsaw spin-off sequel, kind of, to Saw, and then they did Winchester, which, not really that great overall, but Jigsaw was actually kind of decent for the most part, but yeah, it's a good movie. It's one I highly recommend checking out. Daybreakers, it's one you should definitely seek out, So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to movie number 2 here, easily the worst film of the week, and like I said, it's a PG-rated romantic comedy starring Amy Adams, and considering what we had last year with a double whammy of Bride Wars and New in Town, I think you got an indication of what this one's going to be like. This is Leap Year.
They're earrings.
In Ireland, a woman can propose to a man on leap year, you know.
On January 8th.
I need a taxi to Dublin.
I'll drive you to Dublin.
Thank you.
Something unpredictable.
Thank
you. Something unavoidable.
You two are married, aren't you?
It's Mr. and Mrs.
Okay.
Lovely.
Is becoming something
Naked.
Here.
undeniable.
Anna, will you marry me?
Leap Year. Rated PG. In theaters January 8th.
Overall, the plot of this isn't really all that bad. You have a story where you have Amy Adams, who wants to be married to her boyfriend, played by Adam Scott, of course, from Step Brothers, and this was before he was on Parks and Recreation, but she decides to travel to Dublin to propose to her boyfriend on Leap Day, as Irish tradition allows. There's a tradition in Ireland where a girl can propose to her boyfriend in Ireland on Leap Day, and so she decides to go there, and she gets there's problems with her getting there, so she ends up with this guy, Matthew Good, who basically doesn't really want to drive her there, but she's willing to pay him to do that, so, you could pretty much figure out where it's going to go from there, and it takes a plot that actually does sound really interesting, and these aren't made by hacks either. This is made by, the director of this is Anna Tucker, who did Shop Girl a couple years ago, which was really good, a very underrated Steve Martin, Claire Danes movie, and this is written by Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elfond. They've written a lot of good stuff, like Can't Hardly Wait, Josie and the Pussycats, so these aren't written by hacks overall, but the film itself just doesn't work. Not really because of the script in general. I mean, it is a standard formula romantic comedy, but it has a good idea to it where it could easily work. But sadly, the worst thing about the movie is that everybody in this movie is either a douchebag or they're just completely unlikable. Amy Adams is one of the most charismatic, charming actresses we have out there, and to see her in a movie like this where she's doing absolutely nothing, just playing the stock romantic comedy cliche character that anybody could have played, easily anybody could have played, and she's just not given a lot to do here. Her chemistry between her and Matthew Good, and even with her and Adam Scott, does not work well at all. It's just like, why do you want to be with either one of these people, honestly? The only one who really comes out of this relatively unscathed is John Lithgow, who plays her father, and Again, it's John Lithgow. I mean, the guy is an acting god. I mean, he can pretty much do anything and he can make it work. But it falls into those tropes that you just don't like. Every single romantic comedy cliche, like the one scene I always remember from this is when she goes to the airport and she wants to get to Dublin, and she's just like, no, you should find a way for me to get to Dublin. And it's just like, oh, let's go ahead and just do that. Would you get a private jet for this woman right away? And it's just like, how entitled do you have to be? Do you have to get to that point? At that point, it's just like, you really need to think about what you're doing here. And it would be something if the guy she paired up with to take her to Dublin actually was someone interesting or actually was a nice person. But no, there's a point in the movie where she's getting undressed and he's just like, okay, I'll take you just to be desperate. And she's just like, get out. Just like, instead of just waiting for her to get fully clothed, it's just like, you know, he just keeps going, just like, €500, like you said. It's just like, dude, get the fuck out of there. It's like, if anybody else was to do that, and this guy was not a handsome person, that guy would have been considered a creep and all that. But no, he's got to do it because he's the charming romantic lead who really is the one that she should be with. And it's just like, get the fuck out of here with that stuff. And even at the end, when they do the whole rom-com cliche thing, it's just kind of like, it feels really bland and pointless. And Adam Scott, like, he's one of those guys that's just like, as soon as you hear him say something like, you know, hey bro, what's up? It's just like, okay, he's clearly the guy that you're not supposed to like in here. And it's just like, this film does not do anything new or different than we've seen done in any other movie like this. If the one thing I could say to this film's credit is that it's better than some of the bad romantic comedies from the year before, like Bride Wars, New in Town, The Ugly Truth. But even then, it's not really saying a whole lot because it's Bride Wars, New in Town, and The Ugly Truth. I mean, those were bad comedies. This is a bad comedy too, but a bad comedy that had a good idea, but it just can't make it work. I mean, it just can't make it work because the studio probably wanted them to do a straightforward, cheap romantic comedy without anything new or refreshing, and this is the end result of it. Plus, like I said, PG-rated romantic comedies in this time were almost never work at all. They are usually pretty bad, but there is one exception, two exceptions this year that we'll get to later on in May, because there are two PG-rated romantic comedies that actually did turn out to be really damn good. But again, we'll get to those in about 5 months' time here, but or in this case, 5 days' time. But actually, no. Well, 5 months from where we're at right now, we'll get to those ones. But so anyway, last leap year. Before we continue on here, I just want to remind you, of course, to go ahead and hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button if you like this video and want to see more videos like it. So anyway, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here. Probably the overall best movie of the entire week. I mean, easily the best movie of the week, and that is Youth and Revolt, starring Michael Cera.
Amazing how much action everyone around me seems to be getting.
If you're looking for New Year's resolutions, we have some suggestions.
It's time to be bad.
Take a road trip. Pick up a hobby.
I really don't know much about wood.
That's not what I've heard.
New people.
You could probably sneak you in after like that.
What was it? I fear it could be terribly addicting.
And expose yourself to new ideas.
What the hell are you doing in your underwear?
Youth and Revolt.
Should we do my front now?
Like that. Ready?
This is exactly the type of movie you think it is, but in a good way. It's a really, really intriguing little gem of a film here. Based off of the book of the same name, you have Michael Cera starring as a shy and local teenager desperate to lose his virginity. And while on a trailer park holiday with his mother and her boyfriend, he meets an attractive girl played by Portia Doubleday and is immediately smitten. When the two are separated, Nick must learn how to rebel in order to be with the girl he loves. And so he creates this alter ego in the form of Francois Dillinger, a suave, rebellious troublemaker. Yeah, it's a movie where it's Michael Cera basically playing two different roles in here, and playing them pretty well here, even though he's very much playing the same character kind of in both ways, shapes, and form, but he is very fun to watch in here, and there is a lot of good fun elements all across the board in here. Like, you have Michael Cera in these double roles here. I like his chemistry with Portia Doubleday, and there's a great cast involved in here. Gene Smart, Mary-Kate Place, Justin Long, Fred Willard, Ray Liotta, one of two movies he's in this weekend, Steve Buscemi, Zach Galifianakis. I mean, there is a strong cast overall in here. This is directed by Miguel Artero, who actually, this is his first film he's made since The Good Girl, which is a movie I really liked that came out in 2002 with Jennifer Aniston and John C. Reilly. And this is kind of on that same wavelength, too. It's a film that is very much more on the same wavelength as something like Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, but is written more like The Good Girl. And it's a movie that I really do like a lot. I think it's a very good movie, very funny movie, very good coming-of-age movie in general. And like I said, his chemistry with Portia Doubleday in both those dual roles works really well, even though he is pretty much playing the same character overall. It works fine for what it is. I think it is a very solid film. I think it's a very entertaining film. It's a really good film. I recommend checking it out. Youth and Revolt. Another one of those rare surprises that came out this weekend. Actually, we've had two really good movies for the first two films of the new year, and that's really rare when you really think about it. But hey, that means we're probably off to a good year in general here coming up, maybe. But let's see if we can end the show on a high note by taking a look at our last film, and that is Tim Allen with an ensemble cast in Crazy on the Outside.
After 3 years in prison, Tommy Zelda couldn't wait to get home.
You're my brother. I love you, so I lied.
Until he got there.
So where have I been for 3 years?
Welcome home from France.
Statistically speaking, people who go to France and then get out of France usually end up back in France.
His old partner is tempting him.
Come on, get in. I think he means me. Tommy, I want you back. And then take us $12 million.
Just got out of prison.
And how's that going for you?
Got a little mess on the poop deck.
Will they all ever get along? I did not realize this. This was actually Tim Allen's first ever film as a director, and I presume it's his last one as a director, because I don't think he's directed anything else since then. But he stars in this movie as an ex-con who deals with quirky family members, his ex-lover, and his partner in crime, and simultaneously he falls in love with a single mom who happens to be his probation officer. And that full trailer shows a lot of people in this movie. I mean, you have Tim Allen, you have Sigourney Weaver, you have Gene Triplehorn, J.K. Simmons, Julie Bowen, Kelsey Grammer, Ray Liotta, I lost my train of thought there, John Grease. You know, a lot of notable names in this movie. Like, this is filled with some notable names in here in general. And, you know, this sounds like a film that doesn't really have a whole lot in general, but you got a lot of people in here. Maybe they can make it work. And a lot of people that Tim Allen has worked with in the past. I mean, he worked with Sigourney Weaver on Galaxy Quest. He worked with Ray Liotta on Wild Hogs. Kelsey Grammer on Toy Story 2. Julie Bowen with Joe Somebody. This is a guy that has worked with these people before. Maybe they got something here. Sadly, they don't. This is a movie that is basically the equivalent of a TV pilot, pretty much. I mean, right down to the writers of this being two guys who have written a lot of TV script stuff. Judd Pilot, the guy's literally name is Pilot, and John Peasley. And I think they've written for Home Improvement, among other things as well. But, yeah, this is pretty much not a sign that this is a good movie overall. And it really is not that good of a film. It's just a movie that really doesn't play to the standards of somebody like Tim Allen. Like, he could make entertainment on a number of different wavelengths. I mean, Home Improvement is kind of a generic show, but it works because he has that charm and wit to him that actually makes that show likable, among all the other things that happens on there. Even his later stuff, like Last Man Standing, or even more recently, Shifting Gears, these are shows that work because Tim Allen is game for what those shows are, and he can make those shows work in general. Even in the movies that he's been in, you know, the Santa Claus films, for example. I mean, the Toy Story movies. There are just so many things that this guy can be involved in where he actually can be very good. But in here, it really felt like that he really kind of weighed himself down with this one. And he's the director on this. Like, he's the main guy behind this whole thing, and it's just kind of like, what do you do? Like, what happened here? Like, I don't know. I don't know if this was just, maybe this just wasn't a good script overall to work with, but with a cast this big and talented, it's just like, you expect a whole lot more from it, and it's just like, I don't know, man. This just didn't work in general, and it really was a major letdown, considering all the talent they had in here, considering what Tim Allen's capable of as a comedian. It really didn't work overall. You could kind of tell why this came and went, and really didn't leave much of a lasting impact overall. Yeah, it's a waste of time, honestly. And it's a shame, because there was definitely a lot of effort and possibilities with it, but it is what it is. So that is Crazy on the Outside.
They say the war tore a hole in the sky. That was 30 winters ago. I've been walking ever since. Put that hand on me again, you won't get it back. I need that boat. I know its power. Nobody touches it but me. It's not a book. It's a weapon. The Book of Eli. Rated R. Starts January 15th.
And welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies, where, as I said before, we're taking a look at the two new releases on January 15th, 2010. And we're starting off with the biggest new release of the weekend, which is The Book of Eli. And as I said before, it's a post-apocalyptic tale in which a lone man, played by Denzel Washington, fights his way across America in order to protect a sacred book that holds the secrets to saving humankind. Now, as I said before, this was directed by the Hughes brothers, who did Menace to Society. They also did Dead Presidents, and have been relatively out of the spotlight for a good chunk of time. I mean, the last movie they did was From Hell back in 2001, which was a good movie overall. Maybe not one of their better films, but really their best film at that point was Menace to Society. But if there was a film that was actually closer to being their second best film, The Book of Eli is definitely that movie. One thing I could say about this movie right off the bat is that the visual look of the movie is incredible. As the film opens up, you're just suckered in. Like the images they have in here, this isn't like Mad Max in any way, shape, or form. This is a movie where you just have Denzel Washington in the desert, and easily these are scenes that could have easily been the marketing for this movie. That's how good they really are. I mean, the casting overall is top-notch. I mean, it's Denzel Washington. I mean, I've said it time and time again. I mean, he is the greatest actor we have right now. And again, he steals the show in here. He's absolutely terrific. Gary Oldman is a fun bad guy to watch in this movie. I like his dialogue that he has in here. I thought Mila Kunis overall was a pretty good side character to Denzel Washington's character. I thought that was a very good character for her. You have Jennifer Beals, who's really unrecognizable in here, giving another good performance. Malcolm McDowell's pretty good in here, too, with one of the craziest haircuts I've seen since Michael Caine in Children of Men. If you've ever seen Children of Men, watch Michael Caine in that movie, and look at the haircut he has there. This is almost as crazy as that. I mean, it's been that long since we had a movie where an older actor has had this weird, crazy hairstyle to him, which makes no sense whatsoever, but it works for here, because he's, once again, giving a good performance. It works all the way through. There are some good action kills in here, some good action sequences, a car crash with a hand grenade that is really well done, and a really good twist ending that I think is definitely one of the best twist endings in recent memory. I mean, there's a couple things that do kind of hurt the movie overall. Like, there's scenes like involving a lady with her wheel on a cart broken, and it's just like, it's one of those things where it's just like, it's fine the first time around, but as the film goes on, it starts to become kind of like a running gag, and it's just kind of like, man, it just does not feel like something that should be something that should be in there. But on top of that, there's also another weird scene very early on where, you know, Denzel Washington's eating dinner at this place and getting cleaned up, and the music they play in this movie, for some reason, sounds like it's the beginning of a porno movie. And it's just like, what was with that music choice there? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, and you know, these guys have done something similar where they've had music that doesn't seem like it should fit there. Like in Menace to Society, they have a notable scene where Computer Love is playing in the background. Great song, has no real connection to what's going on in that particular part of the movie, but it worked. The movie overall worked well, and yeah, this is a really good movie. This is the type of film that we want to see more of in the month of January, and not these movies that are just the table scraps of bad films that were clearly not meant to be big hits whatsoever. And so they put it in January, and then the studios, when the movie bombs, it's just like, well, it's not our fault. Nobody wanted to go see it. Yeah, nobody wanted to go see it because you knew it was bad, and you put it somewhere where nobody was going to go see it. So, but overall, yeah. Book of Eli is a really good movie. I think that should be the main takeaway from this film. It's one of the better January movies that you can have at this point. And, I mean, honestly, we've gotten better with the January movies as of late, 15 years later. It has been more of a push to make more January movies much better than they were back then. I mean, you got to give us credit for that. We're evolving on that front. Now, there's so many other fronts that we need to evolve on in terms of getting more original movies out there. Less sequels, less pointless sequels, you know. But that's stuff for another day, though, unfortunately. But anyway, that's the Book of Eli. So let's go ahead and move on to the reason why January is usually considered the dumping month, and it's this movie right here. Jackie Chan starring in The Spy Next Door.
Beginning search. Tracking. Agent located.
This is Bob Ho. Secret Agent Bob Ho has taken down dictators, terrorists, and evil empires, but he's about to face his toughest assignment yet. Babysitting.
I need your help.
Because Bob has a few new tricks that he's about to unleash.
I don't want you playing with fire. Okay, maybe just this once.
His secret weapon.
Mommy, that man can fly.
Jackie Chan, Amber Valletta, with Billy Ray Cyrus and George Lopez. The Spy Next Door.
Okay, a couple of warning signs right there. First of all, it's not a good sign when you have to use clips from a completely different Jackie Chan movie that is not even Lionsgate's. They're taking shots literally from The Tuxedo, that movie he did for DreamWorks 8 years ago. That's what those flashbacks are in this movie. There's like stuff from that. I think there's a little bit from Rush Hour there, and it's just like, I mean, that's your first warning sign that they're not even trying. Second, Jackie Chan's your biggest star here. If your co-stars are Amber Valletta, who hasn't really done a whole lot since Premonition in 2007, Billy Ray Cyrus, who only got a little bit of a career boost because her daughter's a much more talented person than she is, and George Lopez, who really kind of fell off the map a little bit there for a little bit, but I mean, but then again, I might be overthinking it because he did have the Lopez Tonight Show on TBS at the time, so I don't know. But at the same time, it's just like, if Amber Valletta, Billy Ray Cyrus, and George Lopez are the biggest stars besides Jackie Chan, chances are your movie's not going to end up very well here. And sure enough, as I said before, this is pretty much just The Pacifier, except let's take Vin Diesel out of the picture and put Jackie Chan in there, and the film will write itself. The quality will write itself, and no, it doesn't. Jackie Chan stars as former CIA spy Bob Ho. What a terrible name that is. Bob Ho, who takes on his toughest assignment to date, looking after his girlfriend's 3 kids, who haven't exactly warned their beau. When one of the youngsters accidentally downloads a top-secret formula, Bob's longtime nemesis, a Russian terrorist, pays a visit to the family, and chaos and hilarity ensues. Or at least that's what Lionsgate will probably make you think about this, but here's the thing, though. The difference between this and The Pacifier are very, very easy to see. For one thing, The Pacifier was actually trying with its with a plot that has been done to death before so many times. I mean, the Pacifier worked because there was at least good humor with it. Vin Diesel was at least trying and actually did make it work. And the film kind of had this new idea that, yeah, we know how stupid it is, but we're so proud of it, we're going to go with it anyway. I mean, for God's sakes, the film had so many stupid moments in there, and it shouldn't have been a film that worked, and somehow it did. But that's because they had a good director behind it, and they had good talent behind it. This, I mean, the only big star in here is Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan, God bless him, he's trying to save it. I mean, yeah, anytime Jackie Chan's doing those stunts, yeah, it's always going to be great to see. But I'm sorry, the the humor in here is just awful. The comedy just doesn't work. I mean, this is pretty bad stuff. I mean, this is a lousy movie that just isn't even trying to do anything by basically trying to save it here. And this is supposed to be a tribute. This is supposed to be a tribute to Jackie Chan, and this is the best they could come up with. Really, it's just like why this film? Like, why did you have to make it this film in particular? And yeah, Brian Levant, the director of this movie, who started his career off pretty promising with Beethoven, The Flintstones, Jingle All the Way, Snow Dogs. I mean, these silly but fun movies. Man, his career this was the beginning. This was pretty much right in his downfall, because after this, he had Scooby-Doo, The Mystery Begins, Scooby-Doo, Curse of the Lake Monster, A Christmas Story 2, Sophie Grace and Rosie's Royal Adventure, and Max 2, White House Hero. This is the last theatrical release he ever made, and, clearly you can see why that is, because, yeah, this is a piece of shit. I mean, this is pretty much a straightforward, lackluster comedy that the studio clearly saw was a bad movie, and they said, let's put it out in January because people will go and see it. And sure enough, it was a hit when it came out. It was a film that made back its budget, made $45 million off a $28 million budget, so it was a hit for the studio. Jackie Chan probably sold his soul for that, but, I mean, I'm giving him way too much smack for this. I mean, he is the best thing about the movie, but at the same time, the rest of the movie just kind of sucks. And I realized that the producer of this is the same guy that did The Pacifier. Robert Simmons is the same man who also produced The Pacifier and would later go on to form STX Entertainment. And it's just like I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it with this guy. Like, with this film. It's just like, what are you trying to do here? Like, what's the point? And it just... yeah, it just didn't work overall. So yeah, overall, the movie sucks, and it's clearly a January film that is what it is. And, you know, I'll say this, though, it's certainly going to be better than the one we'll take a look at next time around on here, which is a much worse family comedy with an action star in it than this movie here, and I'll talk about that in just a second.
What the heck is that?
It's an ice cream truck, stupid.
Oh! What's happening?
They're possessed. The weakest willed are the easiest to touch.
They're just regular people!
I'm Gladys. Gladys Foster.
Not anymore!
Legion. Rated R, January 22nd.
Oh, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies. Yes, we are taking a look at the movies of January 22nd, 2010, and ladies and gentlemen, that's our first movie this week, and that is Legion, which follows a group of people as they attempt to protect an infant savior from angels and the possessed in an apocalypse. And, yeah. If you're expecting me to take any of that seriously after showing me some of the stupidest looking creatures I have ever seen in my life, I mean, Demon Granny. That's all I have to tell you. Demon Granny looks fucking stupid. I mean, it looks like the dumbest thing I have ever... That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a horror movie. That their attempt to try to be scary and all that type of stuff, and it just doesn't work, man. And the worst part is, there's a good cast involved in this movie. You got Paul Bettany, Lucas Black, Tyrese Gibson, Adrian Padalecki, Kate Walsh, Dennis Quaid, Charles Dutton. You know, there are a lot of notable names in this movie, good names in here, but they're just given nothing to do in here. And I'm sorry, if this was your attempt to try to scare people, you failed miserably, because you'll be laughing more than I did watching this movie. I mean, you saw how bad it was. I couldn't even get through the first 10 seconds without butting in there, in the trailer there, because it's just like, Dennis Quaid's just like, what the heck is that? It's just like, it's an ice cream truck, stupid. You don't know what an ice cream truck is? Seriously? Like I said, you'll be laughing more at the stupidity of some of these creatures than the actual scares in this movie. I mean, the kid at the end of that trailer, too, was just, it's just like, come on, man, like, you gotta be smarter than that. And if the movie was just a so bad it's good type of a film, like something on the lines of an Evil Dead movie, I would probably recommend it. But nope, it can't even do that, because we gotta have all these huge points of dialogue that have no purpose to the story whatsoever, and are just thrown in there so it can seem like this is much more important than it has to be. And no, there's nothing important going on in this movie. It's just the fact that Paul Bettany is the lead star of the movie, and you barely saw him in that trailer there. They didn't care about telling a story. They didn't care about doing anything. They knew the film was going to flop. So let's just say, screw it. Let's put some of the stupidest moments in there and try to trick people into scaring them, which you failed miserably at that, because you'll be laughing more at this movie than you'll be terrified. At least that's what happened with me when I saw it. So yeah, I think we can pretty much sum up that one as a bad movie. Legion, not a good horror movie at all. So let's go ahead and keep digging into the shit pile, ladies and gentlemen, because as bad as The Spy Next Door was last time we met, Tooth Fairy is much, much worse.
The Ice Wolves fans are just begging for a visit from the Tooth Fairy.
Meet Derek Thompson. He doesn't believe in fair play.
Meet the future of our franchise.
Yeah, is there a old-timers game today?
One day I'm gonna play hockey in the big leagues, just like you.
Here's the deal, Gabe. Lower your expectations. And he doesn't believe in fairy tales.
My tooth is gone. Wait, there's no money.
Tess, let's just get this out of the way. There's no such thing as...
Oh, here it is.
But he's about to receive
Mr. Thompson, you, sir, are guilty of killing dreams.
the ultimate penalty.
You are hereby ordered to serve time as a tooth fairy.
Now, the meanest man in hockey
Raise your right hand. I swear to perform the duties of a tooth fairy.
is about to discover
Get him into flying school.
Oh, you better not do anything. Put me down!
in order to succeed.
Shrinking paste. Visibility spray.
Nice. You have to believe.
Cataway. This thing will come in very handy.
You're not exactly embracing the tooth fairy spirit.
Are you kidding me? I'm embracing it, all right. But I'm doing it my way.
On January 22nd.
Just here for the tooth, sir. Just a tooth.
You can't handle the tooth.
Who are you?
I'm the Tooth Fairy. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, buddy. You've got the wrong mindset for this one, Dwayne. I'm sorry, you just haven't. But, this is the Tooth Fairy. This is a film that, is clearly something that was clearly written for Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the 1980s and 90s, but I'm sure he did the same thing to Dwayne Johnson that he did to Sylvester Stallone when he, the story about Stopping My Mom was shoot, where Stallone only took it because he had heard Schwarzenegger was going to do it, but then it turned out not to be the case as part of their ongoing war that they had back in the day before they became best buddies later on down the road. But yeah, he did the same thing to Dwayne Johnson here. You cannot convince me otherwise, because this was originally written as a script for Schwarzenegger back in the day. And, yeah, I think the end results speak for themselves here. Derek Thompson, played by Dwayne Johnson, is the Tooth Fairy, a hard-charging minor league hockey player whose nickname comes from his habits of separating opposing players from their bicuspids. When Derek discourages a youngster's hopes, he's sentenced to 1 week hard labor as a real Tooth Fairy, complete with the requested tutu, wings, and magic wand. At first, Derek can't handle the tooth, and for God's sakes, 20th Century Fox, really? The tooth puns in here. Just... It's getting into the plot synopsis. At first, Derek can't handle the tooth, bumbling and stumbling as he tries to furtively wing his way through strangers' homes, doing what Tooth Fairies do. But as Derek slowly adapts to his new position, he begins to rediscover his own forgotten dreams. Much like the forgotten dreams of the people who made this movie, who just basically said, fuck it, we don't care about your kids' intelligence. We got the guy who made the Santa Claus movies, and Connie and Carla. Good fucking God, this movie is abysmal. I don't care if it's a kid's movie. I don't care if it was released in the month of January. There's no goddamn reason why this movie should have been made. This movie is an atrociously bad movie with so many good talented people in here. I mean, you see it. Dwayne Johnson, Ashley Judd, Julie Andrews, Stephen Merchant, Seth MacFarlane's in here, Brandon T. Jackson, Billy Crystal's in this movie. He's uncredited in here because he knows this movie is garbage. This is the guy that made bad movies like My Giant and Father's Day. And yet this is the bottom of the barrel for him. Like, think about all the bad movies he's made. This is the worst one. And again, way to waste Ashley Judd once again, folks. Like, seriously, nobody knew what to do with her. Like, this is a really good actress back in the day, and they had no idea what the fuck to do with her. It's just kind of like, okay, let's put her in a movie. Let's put her in, these crime thrillers. Oh, that didn't work. Excuse me. I'm getting so mad that I'm coughing up. But let's put her in a romantic comedy. Well, that didn't work. Let's put her in these family comedies. Well, shit, that doesn't work either. We are really wasting this woman's talents. I mean, like, this whole movie is a goddamn joke. And the kid who's acting like he's better than Dwayne Johnson is just like, oh, is this an old-timers meeting? It's just like, shut the fuck up, dude. Even I could beat your ass. I'm not even that older compared to the kid in this movie. I mean, back then I think he and I would probably be the same age, but I could beat the crap out of this motherfucker. And be grateful I stopped the trailer where it did, because it got worse and worse from there. Like, the jokes in here are not good. They wasted so much of your goddamn time with this movie, and this is written by 5 writers, good writers: Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel, Randy Mayam Singer, who did Mrs. Doubtfire, Joshua Stratton and Jennifer Ventimiglia. Like, these are people that you expect a lot better from. These are people that wrote for The Simpsons, too, and it just came together in a bad way, and audiences bought it the fuck up because there's no other family movies out in January, and, heaven forbid we go see the films in December that we completely looked over, like The Princess and the Frog, or, I don't know what other family films that were out there back then that were much better. Hell, I would say go watch Alvin and the Chipmunks The Squeakle again, because at least that one had something of value to it. And I'm just noticing something here. Guess who one of the producers of this movie is? Jason Blum. Yeah, this is one of his early movies before he eventually made it to Blumhouse Pictures. And, I mean, what more do I gotta say about this movie, man? This is a garbage film. And it makes sense that the sequel that came out just a couple years later that went direct-to-video starred Larry the Cable Guy, because apparently this was around the time when Larry the Cable Guy would take any direct-to-video sequel starring a big action star and Again, sorry about that. And completely starring a movie that's a direct-to-video sequel that the main star of the original film would be like, ain't no goddamn way I'm doing this. Like, he was in Jingle All the Way too, for God's sakes. Like, I'm frustrated thinking about this movie. So, yeah, this is easily the worst film of the whole week. I mean, Legion at least was bad in a so bad it's good kind of way, but this was just rough to sit through, man. This is unbearable. This is the type of movie that would have killed Dwayne Johnson's career, but I think he realized, yeah, I made a terrible mistake saying yes to this, and eventually he would go on to become the big action star that we know him now, and a much bigger success than he was back at the start of the decade. So let's just say that the beginning of the decade was bad, but it got better when the decade was over for him. Much, much better. So let's see if we can kind of turn the tide around with our last film that we have here. Harrison Ford and Brendan Fraser starring in the melodrama Extraordinary Measures.
To save his kids. I can't sit around and wait for my kids to die. Driven to prove his theories.
I do the science. You make the sale.
2 men, 1 mission. Brendan Fraser.
And what if he succeeds too late? Then what?
Harrison Ford.
Say Hail Mary.
Extraordinary Measures. Rated PG. Only in theaters.
So before we get to this movie, a little bit of a history lesson. Back in 1979, CBS basically became the new owners of Cinema Center Films, which was the company that put out the Charlie Brown movies, Snoopy Come Home and A Boy Named Charlie Brown, among other things. And they eventually decided to make movies under their using the network as the title of their film company. A lot of studios were doing it at the time. ABC was doing it with ABC Circle Films, and then NBC was doing it with NBC. So this wasn't a new thing in general. And they put these movies out, and most of them were not very successful, mostly because a lot of the films they took were films that were basically just TV pilots and just scripts that weren't written by the best people. You had stuff like Backroads, The Challenge, Table for Five, Finders Keepers, Windy City, American Dreamer. The most successful one I see here is Better Off Dead, which, that's probably their most successful movie in general, and that's the one that's had the bigger lasting impact, the one with John Cusack in it. But everything else has been pure garbage, and so so they waited 25 years later to try to do this again, and you would think they would learn their lesson and actually get people who had written better scripts than the ones that they were making back in the day, and judging by this first film, not so much. This is about as bland of a melodramatic drama as you can get. You have a story about these parents, played by Brendan Fraser and Kerry Russell, who form a biotechnology company to develop a drug to save the life of their children who have a life-threatening disease. They get help with another doctor, played by Harrison Ford, and the only thing that's up from the other movies that I talked about before was the fact that they got bigger names involved in this than they did back in the 70s and 80s, even though they did have some movies with big names back then. Gene Hackman was in Target, John Cusack was in Better Off Dead, Kate Capshaw and John Shea were in Windy City, but it seemed like nothing really had changed because, yeah, this feels like a script that could easily been used for a television series. Like, this could have been an episode of House or an episode of ER. But no, this is a big screen movie, and it's got the director of What Happens in Vegas involved in it, which seems really odd for them to do that, but lo and behold, there it is. And yeah, the film just doesn't work. Brendan Fraser and Harrison Ford are at least trying to hold it together and try to give us something here. I mean, they're not bad actors in here. Everybody in here is playing their parts very well. Kerry Russell's okay in here. Courtney B. Vance has a good role in here as well. But at the same time, nothing really amounts to anything you haven't seen done before. It's a story that is clearly there to just get you to tear up quickly, and it's not worth it, man. It really doesn't work as a whole, and the film just kind of struggles to get going and really give you something here. There's just nothing really about it that makes it stand up on its own. The only thing I can say that's actually tolerable about it is the casting in here. I think the casting overall is fine, but there is no reason to release this movie on a big screen. Like, it's only on the big screen, I think, because it got Harrison Ford, it got Brendan Fraser. They're named actors, they're Oscar nominees, they're people that they recognize a lot of, but I guarantee you that if this was made 20 years ago, this would have been the Sunday movie of the week on CBS, easily. This wouldn't have been something that would have went to the big screen. It's not a good movie. It's not a good film overall, but in the credit of CBS Films, it would eventually get better. It would start off pretty rocky early on with some of the films they were putting out, but they do have much better movies than the CBS of the films of the 70s and 80s. CBS theatrical films is what it was, but we have a little bit to get to before we get to those ones, but it's going to be rough for the first couple of films that we have here. Because, yeah, I'm looking at some of the movies that we have here. Yeah, it's going to get rough early on, especially with the next movie we've got coming up in April, which, yeah, if you wanted, yeah, literally the definition of a film by CBS Films, by taking one of CBS's stars that they were really pushing hard and putting him in a movie with Jennifer Lopez. That should give you an indication of what movie that's going to be, but all in good time. We will get to that in April, but extraordinary measures, there ain't nothing extraordinary about it per se, so there you go. That's Extraordinary Measures.
Did you shoot my daughter? Welcome to hell. This is someone armed and dangerous. What do you think I am?
You are out of your depth and far from your jurisdiction.
My daughter was in a cleaning. I'm not going to arrest anyone. Edge of darkness. I'm the guy with nothing to lose. Fasten your seatbelt. Leave it on.
Welcome to Time About the Movies, where today we're taking a look at the movies of January 29th, 2010. And that's our first movie, Mel Gibson starring in Edge of Darkness, as Mel Gibson plays a homicide detective who's investigating the death of his activist daughter, and not only uncovering her secret life, but also a corporate cover-up and government collusion that attracts an agent tasked with clearing up the evidence. The agent being played by Ray Winstone from Beowulf and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You know, at this point, it had been 7 years since Mel Gibson was on the big screen, which is hard to believe. You don't really realize that. And that's 7 years from The Singing Detective, which was the last movie that he was in that I saw him in. But most people, wide audiences, haven't seen him in a movie since Signs back in 2000. I mean, yeah, he did The Passion of the Christ in 2004, but he was the director behind that. And the only thing that he was really well known for in the news at that time was the fact that, yeah, he had that little thing in the mid-2000s. Basically, he got arrested, and he went on a rant about Jews, saying, effing Jews, the Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world, are you a Jew, that type of stuff. And keep in mind, this was several months before another controversy came out, where he was telling his, I think it was his girlfriend at the time, or his wife. They were partners, and they weren't officially married, but they had a phone call that was leaked out where he suggested that if she got raped by a pack of N-words, she would be to blame and threatened to burn down her house while she was inside it. So yeah, 2010 was not the best year for Mel Gibson trying to make a comeback, but hey, at least it started off on a positive note with this film, Edge of Darkness, which, truth be told, it's actually kind of good. It's pretty much, like I said, it's Mel Gibson's Taken. It's Mel Gibson's Death Wish. It's more like Death Wish, honestly, because, of course, the daughter doesn't make it in this movie, but she doesn't Taken. She survives, but as much of a ripoff of Taken as it is still a kick-ass movie. Mel Gibson does give a very believable performance, and he is pretty badass in here. And you do feel bad for him when his daughter gets killed. I mean, you could tell the guy was putting his effort into it. It shows that, yeah, he's still a good actor. I mean, regardless of the stuff that was going on in his personal life around that time. But the guy still proves he's got the acting chops overall. And it's just like, yeah, this was a really good movie. This is based off of a miniseries, too, which is made coincidentally by the same director, Martin Campbell, who, of course, was the guy who not once but twice successfully brought back James Bond with Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. GoldenEye, Casino Royale come to mind. And, yeah, it's a good movie overall. You still can't oversee the similarities of stuff like Taken and Death Wish. It's very much like that. I will say this, though. The ending overall is very anticlimactic, and it doesn't really hurt the film overall, but let's just put it this way. Did you see the end of Gran Torino? It's kind of like that, except that, yeah, except it doesn't really, like with Gran Torino, it doesn't really ruin the flow of the movie. It just felt like it was very much something where it's just kind of like, well, that went nowhere, but, like I said, I'm not going to spoil what it is, but overall, I liked it. I think it's a good action thriller. It's well-directed, well-written. Mel Gibson, I thought, was on his way to a comeback is when this came out. Like Robert Downey Jr., Woody Harrelson. I felt like maybe he could get back on that track again, proving that he's ready to clean up his image and refocus on getting his career back in time. And then 6 months later came around, and it's just like, yeah, there's no going back for him. But he has made some good stuff since then. I mean, he did Hacksaw Ridge, which was pretty good, but yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, it's a good movie. Not one of his better movies overall, but I liked it. At least it's a better way to wrap January off than some of the bad movies we've taken a look at already. Case in point with our last film that we have here. And welcome back to another really bad January comedy. We're now 4 for 4 now over the last 2 years. Bride Wars, New in Town, Leap Year. Actually, if you want to count romantic comedies, I should say, because I'd be including stuff like Paul Blart Mall Cop, Tooth Fairy, and Spy Next Door. But romantic comedies, Bride Wars, New in Town, Leap Year, and now, When in Rome.
Great job, you guys. That's me in the headset. A few days ago, I was a very happy New Yorker until one night I ran into my ex.
I met someone, and we're getting engaged.
Son of a...
Hey, Nick, we read your column every week, yeah? I would appreciate you and me chatting up two ladies and leaving the one that knows more about Wookiees alone with this. No. How about yes? Okay.
So I'm in the most magical city on earth for my sister's wedding. And that's where I met him.
Well, it's vase breaking time. The maid of honor shatters a vase, and it symbolizes happiness for the bride and groom. So smash it hard.
They do that for good luck. I'm Nick, by the way.
Beth.
That's my bad.
When it comes to love, I've never had too much luck.
You don't want to, Beth.
But this is what the Romans call the Fontana de Amore. If you throw in a coin, you find love. So maybe if I take a few, like you, and you, some of the magic will rub off on me.
What were you doing in the Fontana de Amore? Picking up coins. Steph, we got a problem. If you take someone's coin from the fountain, they will fall in love with you. That is ridiculous.
Have any men come on to you since the wedding?
Yeah, I've seen that look before. You're intimidated because I'm a model.
Whoa.
Yes. You're welcome. Whoa, where are you going? Can someone call the vet? Because these puppies are sick.
Hello?
Hey, it's Nick.
I was just thinking about you. If what they say about the fountain is true, how will I ever know if Nick is for real?
You think you're real charming, don't you?
A little bit.
I'm gonna prove my love to you!
Seriously, how many guys have you seen?
Those guys don't know me.
Beth, hi.
Why don't you leave me alone? I don't know you.
Beth, it's me. Your dentist.
Oh, sorry. I'm flossing twice a day.
Oh, good.
When in Rome.
Hey! Look at you! A great-looking couple.
Who would have guessed that of all those couples, it would not be Kristen Bell and Josh Duhamel would get together later on in life, but Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. Believe it or not, that chemistry they had there eventually led to them getting married. And honestly, if you've watched the Carvana commercials that they're in and all those other commercials they're in, they do have good chemistry together in those commercials. I mean, it's not like, you know how they always say never work with your spouse? Well, in this case, both of them paid it off big time. But then again, maybe it's just in commercials, because then Dax Shepard did Chips with his wife Kristen Bell in that movie, and that was not a great movie either. But anyway, Kristen Bell plays Beth, a hard-working career lady whose last beau left her because she put her work above him. When he tells her he's found another career woman and is willing to stick it out with her and is engaged to her, Beth feels that there is no one for her. When she goes to Rome to attend her sister's impromptu wedding, we'll get to that in just a second, because this plot is a doozy, man. She's attracted to Nick, played by Josh Duhamel, who's the best man. But after she sees him with another woman, she gets drunk, waits back to New York, 4 men start coming on to her, and Nick keeps calling to ask her out. She later learns that what she did is a no-no. It says that a legend says that if you take a coin out of the fountain that they have there, which I don't have the name of it right now, I'll get to that in a second too, the person who throws it will fall in love with whoever takes the coin. So she must find a way to break the curse. She likes Nick, but wonders if he is with her because he wants to be or just because he is under the spell. How can she find out? Well, if you go to Wikipedia, it runs down the plot synopsis, and basically I'd be saving you a whole lot of time because no one should have to sit through this garbage movie. Because, yeah, this is, like I said before, a bad January romantic comedy. And The Fountain in particular, it's called was based off of Trevi Fountain, but it's called in the movie The Fountain of Love, and the whole thing is that, you know, you pick up all these coins, and supposedly it's gonna allow you to fall. It means that the person who threw it in there is gonna instantly fall in love with you, and as you see in the trailer, four different people come to mind here. You have Danny DeVito, Dax Shepard, John Heder, Will Arnett, and then the fifth one is what they think is Josh Duhamel, but it turns out that it's not really that at all. But yeah, this movie sucks. I mean, this movie is terrible. This is a film that is so lazy. And let's talk about the thing that really irks me right off the bat. The whole reason why she's in Rome, Kristen Bell's character, is because her sister, who is younger than her, is getting married. She's supposedly like, I think she's in like her mid-20s, and she's just like, and even Kristen Bell's basically telling her, you shouldn't be doing this right now. You're way too young to be doing this, and then she's just like, when you're in love with someone, you just gotta go with it. It's just like, no, you don't gotta go with that. It's just kind of like that's one of those things I really don't understand about these movies right away. It's just like, all these bad romantic comedies have people who are clearly way too young to be married and settle down, and they have to get married because nobody out there wants to say the positive, wants to say what you should be saying to them. It's just like, take your time, slow down, wait to see what happens, because her sister is getting married to this guy, I think like 2 weeks after she met him for the first time, or something smaller than that. Because it's like with Christmas with the Cranks, the whole thing where the daughter comes back home for the holidays and says she's going to get married to this guy that she literally just met 2 weeks ago. It's just like, look, it works in Disney movies, in Disney animated movies, because it's a fairy tale. It runs on fairy tale logic. This is supposed to be the real world. This does not work in real life. If you were really getting married at that age that this character is, I think she's like I think she's mid-20s or something like that. Either that or 21 years old. The actress herself is about 20. Was about 26 when this came out. So let's just say around that front there. But what's interesting about this whole thing is that this actress Alexis Dazenia, who was also in Fool's Gold 2, where she really did look like she was way too young to be in that movie as kind of a little love interest to Matthew McConaughey's character, but yeah, she has not done anything of noteworthiness since 2014. I guess there was something where, I guess maybe because her ex-boyfriend she got a restraining order against her ex-boyfriend, and basically that was part of the reason why that she actually did also try to get a restraining order from her parents too. So maybe there's something deeper going on in there. But overall, yeah, the whole point of this is just like, she was way too young to get married in this movie, and somebody should have had the nerve to come out and say, hey, don't do this. It shouldn't just have to be Kristen Bell, which is very funny when you think about it, because Kristen Bell's character in Frozen basically does the same thing that her sister does in this movie. It's like she's ready to get married right off the bat. But again, that's a Disney fairy tale. That's an animated Disney fairy tale. This is supposed to be a real-life movie, and I'm just so sick and tired of these stupid romantic comedies with the stupid tropes, like the whole thing where she's just like, smash the vase down because it means we're going to have that long, happy marriage. It's just like, don't screw it up, and then, of course, the thing doesn't break easily. It's just like, for God's sakes, just fucking throw the thing already and just break it. I mean, it's not that hard to do, and then all of a sudden she's the monster because she didn't do it right. It's just like, fuck you, man, and then we haven't even gotten to the people who are the coins that she took from everybody. Like, you have Will Arnett, who's a street artist. Like, you see in a little bit in the trailer there that he becomes so obsessed with her. He literally makes a picture of a graffiti picture of her on a brick wall with her literally naked and wearing panties. I mean, that's not creepy at all. But then you have the guy who Dax Shepard's character, who's basically a fitness nut, and then you have John Heder's character, who's kind of like this goth guy or so, and apparently because this movie is desperate, we got to bring in his pal from Napoleon Dynamite, Edgar Ramirez. Pedro is in this movie for no other reason except to just be that guy in there. The only sane one of the group in here is Danny DeVito, and he's the only one who is actually giving it his all in here. But then again, it's Danny DeVito. I mean, Danny DeVito is somebody who will always give 110% no matter how bad the movie is. I mean, and believe it or not, he's actually one of the more restrained performances in this movie when you really think about it. But other than that, though, yeah, the movie itself just really isn't that good. And the chemistry between Belle and Duhamel just doesn't work at all. And this thing did something so egregious and so god-awful that's why I really didn't like this movie a lot. Kate McCucci's also in this movie, too, which, if you don't know who that is, you probably have heard her voice before. She's most known for her work as Velma in the Scooby-Doo series, and she's Webby on the recent DuckTales reboot. She's done a lot of other stuff too. She's part of this music group with Ricky Lindholm, Garfunkel, and O's. I don't know if they're still together or not, but she's somebody who's definitely she's very good. She's actually very funny and she actually can sing pretty well. But she plays her best friend, Kristen Bell's best friend in this movie, and for no particular reason whatsoever. The movie's literally about to wrap up, and she basically decides, I'm going to go steal the coins because we need to get another climax and we need to add 30 more minutes to the plot of this movie. The movie was literally going to end at that point, and the only reason that's in there is because we need filler, because this thing is barely 90 minutes long, and I guarantee you that's the reason why they threw that in there, because they were under the feature film limit that they needed to. So let's throw in a pointless subplot to get this going. A pointless climax here to get this thing going. It's just like, when she does that, it's just kind of like, that was the point where I just threw my hands up in the air and said, I give up. I give up on this garbage. And, but then again, when you look at the people who made this, guess who the director of this was? Good old hack director Mark Steven Johnson, the man who completely destroyed Daredevil and Ghost Rider, and the writers David Diamond and David Weisman, whose last incredible work was Old Dogs. And they also wrote Evolution, too. So yeah, this thing was dead on arrival from the get-go. I mean, this is a lousy movie, man, and a waste of true talent all across the board. Everybody in this movie is better than this. Everyone who's in this film deserves a whole lot better than this pile of garbage. This is the typical bad romantic comedy that comes out every January that the studio tries to put it in here so they can make a quick buck off of it, which this thing unfortunately did. It made $43 million worldwide over a $28 million budget, so it was successful, but this is one of those movies that I guarantee you, with the combination of this and Old Dogs, how badly received they were, these are the reasons why Touchstone Pictures is no longer a major studio anymore. This is why, when it comes to Disney and their more adult films, 20th Century Fox was absorbed into them. I mean, this is the prime definition of how you make a movie that could kill a studio. And yeah, this is garbage, man. This is 100% garbage. I mean, this is definitely high up there with some of the worst romantic comedies I have ever seen in my entire life. This is bad. This is so much of a bad movie. It's so bad I've wasted 10 minutes of your time talking about it. That's how terrible this is. So yeah, needless to say, when in Rome, just go ahead and not see When in Rome. I mean, that's probably the best way to end this. So yeah, please avoid this one like the plague.